Okay, before we get started, can we just take a second to acknowledge how insane of a moment in time that we are in right now? In January of 2026, you can go to a theater and see this movie and The Housemaid in the same weekend. Amanda Seyfried was like, all right, one for me and one for them. We're leaving that in 2025, baby. I'm about to do one for me and one for the Lord real quick. Welcome to Reviewed in 5, where I go see a new movie and rate it in 5 categories: writing, directing, acting, originality, and entertainment. Today we're talking about The Testament of Ann Lee. I'm going to go ahead and assume that you have no idea who that is either, so let's find out. Ann Lee was the founding leader of an evangelical religious sect known as the Shaking Quakers, aka the Shakers. That's not even my joke this time. They literally shortened that all by themselves. And this was a devout group who felt the Spirit of God so strongly that it manifested in guttural cries, feverish dances, speaking in tongues. Oh, hold on, they weren't speaking in tongues? Oh, sorry, that was just the Manchester accent. I'm serious, I've never needed subtitles so bad for people speaking my own native language. But basically, these guys went around rage-baiting the 18th century religious establishment by barging into churches and going, "Hi, I'm the second coming of Christ," which is obviously unhinged, but, you know, in terms of the overall pantheon of people who have claimed to be Jesus, I feel like you could do worse. I mean, she was preaching nonviolence, she was preaching gender equality. The upside down chair thing is maybe a little weird, but you know what? I support it. So I guess Ann Lee was a pretty good person. But is this a pretty good movie? Let's dive in. So usually when you get a movie about a beloved political or religious leader like this, the appeal comes from the peeling back of the curtain, showing the inner life with all the struggles and imperfections that made him human, and how they persevered through all that to become a transcendent force for good anyway. Let's just say that is not the approach this movie takes. I really cannot stress enough how bizarre the storytelling strategy here is, because the entire movie is narrated not by Ann Lee, but by one of her most devout followers. So not only is the story not from her perspective, it's from the perspective of someone who actually has incentive to gloss over any flaws she might have had. And the consequence of that is, even though I just had 2 hours and 20 minutes of Ann Lee beamed straight into my eyeballs, I still feel like I got no idea who she is. Like, if you're literally out here saying you're Jesus, I can't help wanting to know, like, do you really believe that? Is there any doubt or hesitation in there at all? This movie does not let you in. Never. Not once. And so I found pretty much everybody else who we do see actually struggle with the things that she's preaching much more compelling. And Ann Lee pretty rapidly becomes the least interesting character in her own movie. Again, weird strategy. It is very artsy, so I'm not going to say they weren't successful in what they were going for, but it did keep me from connecting with this movie as much as I hoped that I would. 2 out of 5. Okay, so that last segment probably made it sound like I didn't like this movie all that much, but I actually did. And a big reason for that is how it looks. Like, forgive me in advance, because I'm about to take the Lord's name in vain a lot in this part of the video, but oh my god, there is a greater commitment to practical costumes and set design here than there is in Frankenstein, and I am 100% dead ass on that. You got real water, you got real fire. Man, the budget of this movie is $10 million, and they fit a whole ass sailing ship in here. So if you're someone who values that type of thing, get off of Reddit, get off your ass, and give this movie your money right now, because this is one of the most immersive theatrical experiences I have ever seen. Like, I know how hyperbolic that sounds in a world where stuff like Dune or F1 exists, but this movie has an edge that those movies don't. Because when you go in with the context that this story is about a real person, set in a real time, in a real place, and seeing it all realized in camera, I believed I was there. And I just wish that commitment had extended to the soundtrack. Because music, both instrumental and vocal, is pretty much continuously present for the entire runtime. And there were a few moments where I was like, is that an electric guitar? The fuck is this? And I'm about to make a claim here. I have no evidence to back it up. I could not find any information on this one way or the other in my research, but as a former audio engineer for several years, I am almost certain they auto-tuned the shit out of these vocals. Which on the one hand, I can't blame them, because subjectively these people are glorifying God. It's supposed to be beautiful, but with how raw the visuals are, I just can't help but feel like something's been lost by removing the imperfections in the audio. Still really enjoyed, but that did bother me. 4 out of 5. Amanda Seyfried is in a very weird place as a celebrity. She's kind of like the BB Rexa of acting, where she just kind of exists adjacent to the A-list and has for years, without ever stepping up into a place of true cultural clout. And whenever she tries to do it like this, it is met with absolute crickets. Don't feel bad, Amanda. You may not win any Oscars for this, but there will always be a place for you on such prestigious IMDb user lists as Actresses I'm in Love With, Hottest, Prettiest Actresses, My Opinion, 21 Sexiest Actresses Under 40, created 13 years ago, 20 Beautiful Women You Might Not See on the 20 Most Beautiful lists. Yeah, because that's how every woman dreams of being described, you fucking idiots. Anyway, it's clear that she really immersed herself in this role, because it did not take very long for me to stop seeing the celebrity and only see Ann Lee. However, I did feel like she was always keeping me at arm's length, even in her most vulnerable moments. Like, she never quite fully believed what she was preaching. I mean, obviously she was fighting an uphill battle with the script on that one, but like, we're talking about pacifism, we're talking about gender equality, respecting the land, literally zero shady vibes or ulterior motive. Is it my fault or yours that I'm still getting Manson family vibes from you? But the one who did give me that earnest warmth that I was looking for was Lewis Pullman. I haven't seen Thunderbolts, but I know in Top Gun and Bad Times at the El Royale, he plays these bumbling, innocent underdog characters. So when he comes in like, I love my sister, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to help her in her quest, I'm like, aw, I would follow you to the ends of the earth, my dude. Here's hoping he does not announce himself to be Jesus right after I upload this. I can't say anybody else left a super big impression on me. I mean, I believed them all as 1700s English people. You know, nobody was showing up with a face that would, like, petrify a Victorian child or anything. So yeah, 3 out of 5. So we're in a time where, for better or worse, Christianity is experiencing a revival in America. And one of the more interesting consequences of that is we're starting to get movies like Conclave, Wake Up Dead Man, that are taking an earnest, non-judgmental look at religion and saying, hey, even if some of these traditions are outdated, this is something that has clearly worked for a lot of people for a lot of years. What all can we take from this to help us be better people in the 21st century? And this is a movie in that vein. It's not a documentary. Obviously, the perspective is biased and subjective, but plot-wise, it does stick pretty closely to what seems to be the historical account of events, saying, hey, most of you probably don't know about us, so this is what we did, this is why, this is what worked for us and what didn't. And that is where I think that keeping the audience at arm's length actually becomes a strength of the movie. It makes its case, but it doesn't preach, and it lets you take away as much or as little as you want. And I think it's a very relevant viewing experience for that. 4 out of 5. This movie's a lot like the Word of God. It's challenging. Not everyone's gonna accept it. You do kind of have to be in the right place mentally to be swayed, but if you are in that place, it's gonna hit. I didn't necessarily agree with every creative choice they made here, but on the whole, it did win me over. I found myself fully immersed in the ups and downs of the journey these people went on, and wound up really enjoying the experience, even if I didn't necessarily come away from it a changed person. It's the type of movie where every couple of years the mood will strike and I'll want to immerse myself again. It's definitely not a crowd pleaser, but if anything I said in this review sounds interesting to you, then I would go check it out, especially if you're a lover of practical set design and costumes, because this movie does not disappoint in that regard. And it's probably gonna fly under the radar at the Oscars and then disappear forever, so fuck it. I'll be the one to evangelize. 4 out of 5. It's time to do the math. It's time to do the cold hard math. That's my divinely inspired hymn, baby. Final score, 3.4. Yeah, that sounds about right. I think that's accurate for how much I enjoyed it, so feel free to let me know if you think it's accurate in the comments. Can't wait. Subscribe if you like, and sometimes I'll post on Instagram too about like what screenings I'm going to. So if you're in LA and you want to see a movie with me, go ahead and give that a follow at DigitVids on Instagram. And if you're curious about what I've been doing the past year, well, one of them was I wrote a screenplay. So if you want to read that, it's linked in the description too. So I think that's it. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out, Shakers.